Hello and welcome again to my channel. Today we're going to answer one particular request. Somebody asked me to run a little bit of story on Ampex ATR-800, and that's what we're going to be doing today. I'm going to look at this particular machine, which I love very much, and compare it to its bigger brother, the ATR-102 that everybody knows and loves. For a number of reasons, ATR-800 has been sitting in the shadow of its big brother. And we'll try to understand some of the reasons for this, and hopefully you will come away respecting this machine. Yes, it has some particular features to it, but it is a wonderful machine in its own right. First of all, let's run some purely superficial comparison. This is ATR-102, very well known to most of you, I'm sure. Sitting on its standard card, and look at the shape of that particular body. It's very easily recognizable and universally loved. And here is ATR-800. You can see the same basic shape, but there is definitely a different color scheme. Although the basic architecture is the same, or very similar, I like this color scheme. It's much more modern. So first of all, let's go back to the root of this story. Some of you might know that ATR-102 goes back to the mid-70s. I believe its introduction was in 1976. ATR-800 is about 5 years younger. And this difference is not just the difference in the age of the design, it is also difference in approach. ATR-102 was a complete in-house design done by a group of very, very talented engineers. It was a revolutionary machine for its time, still is actually. It's unique, you can instantly recognize it. There is nothing else that looks like that on the market. But ATR-800 was meant to be more of the mainstream machine. And perhaps this is the reason that Ampex contacted TIAC to help it design and produce this particular tape recorder. I'm not exactly clear where the partition line is between the two companies in terms of their contribution to the design. I don't know. I see some definite Ampex roots, but I also see very different overall approach. And while ATR-102 was designed according to very, very different and novel and unique layout. The ATR-800 is much more conventional in that regard. Here you can see the traditional capstan, pinch roller, and idlers. That's a very much conventional layout for the tape recorder. At the same time, one design feature that immediately catches your attention is the head block design. Which looks very, very similar to what you have in ATR-102. And a little bit later, we're going to take a few minutes to examine those two designs side by side. Yes, they look very similar, but they are different. Another very important difference is in the overall electronic layout of two different machines. In case of Ampex, most of the electronics is housed in the bottom body of the machine. And here you can see clearly audio cards on the left. You actually see 3 of them right now. You could have up to 5 if you have a 4-channel machine. And then you see 3 boards controlling the drive. And my immediate reaction is, yes, you can have possible interference between the two very different realms. My intuitive feel tells me I would like to keep those two apart. And yes, ATR-102 has electronic module on top of it, but that module only houses the output stage. Things are very different in case of ATR-800. The bottom portion of the case contains all the electronics required to drive the transport, excluding the power stages. But all the microprocessor boards, control boards are housed in this section. All the audio circuits are located in the box above the transport. And here you see multitude of boards and controls. It is done in such a way that calibration is very, very easy to do. You pull this assembly out of its rack and it becomes readily available. That's a very nice feature. It is much more convenient in terms of doing calibration than ATR-102, where you really have to go down there to access the trim pods. Another feature of ATR-800 is a small head preamplifier. It is this particular assembly sitting right next to the head block. And we'll take another closer look at that particular feature. The common logic states that having prime preamplifier circuit right next to the head block provides better noise immunity. And there is some logic, definite logic to it, I don't argue. But what counts is the overall result. Another very noticeable difference between the two machines is in the way they handle their reel hubs. As you know, ATR-102 has just straight shafts with threaded holes on top, so it requires special provision, fairly uncommon, in order to accommodate your reels or AG DIN platters. ATR-800 is very different. On the right you see its stock hub, And you can see this is pretty much your standard TIAC system with a quarter turn locking mechanism that is basically doesn't work very well with any platters, because platters normally need some kind of downward pressure. So this was one modification I did to this machine by changing to the spring-loaded mechanism, similar to what you normally see on machines like Studer and many others. So this way it becomes compatible with the platters. By the way, you should notice just the heft of this particular reel table. It is very solid and it weighs just about a ton. The machine designers cut no corners in quality of parts. As I mentioned, the head designs of the two machines, head block designs, look very similar, except they are different. Looking from this perspective, you can see the similarity of shapes. The general outline seems to be, if not the same, but at least very similar. But all that similarity falls apart when you look at the block from different angles. If you look at the tape drive control panel, you will see a very useful function there. Number one, there are 3 speeds: low, high, medium, and high. Basically 7.5, 15, and 30 inches per second. And you have wonderful search panel. This is much better solution than what you find in ATR-102, in which case it is barely marginal. This one is rock solid. Very good function. Obviously you have standard edit button, and you have the shuttle control, which is very good. To activate it, you simply have to cross the midpoint with this handle, and then starts moving tape left and right at a speed proportional to your position. Very good function for finding a particular spot on your tape. The machine also has slow speed wind, which I like very much. Here you can see full speed. That's very fast. But you can do slow speed like this. And that's what I usually use. Here is that shuttle control. You see, once you cross 0, it starts working. And you can move this way or gently go that way or anywhere in the middle. You can move at very slow speed, if you will, if that's your desire. This particular sample also came with very nice tape knife, but obviously caution is advised. Some people have restless fingers and they just press this button, which results in cutting your tape. And I'm sure it happened to quite a few of us. Few words about the electronic module on this machine. Number one, it has this feature that we just recently discussed, which is phase compensation. Yes, it does have it. In addition, it's got a bunch of other features, including the choice between VU and peak metering. You can see, you can go inside of this module and flip the switch. And as you can see now, at this moment, it's set to be peak reading, which I like in many cases. But that's your choice. It's very nice to have it. To be fair, ATR-102 also has that feature. Regarding the sound quality of those two machines, strictly speaking, neither one is spectacular. They both have very good sound quality for the stock form, but not really anything above that. For this particular reason, anytime I listen to one of my good tapes, I always go to the head preamp, directly fed from the playback heads on the machines. And this machine has its dedicated tape preamp. You can see it here, and you can see that it is right now being turned off. We're not going to be using it. For this particular test, I decided to run it straight through its native electronics, just to give you a better idea of its capabilities. One interesting conclusion here. Yes, this machine was done in cooperation with TIAC or Tascam, but I would have to say it is superior to any TIAC machine that I know of. I've seen and I've used quite a few of them, and this one is just so much better. So obviously the cooperation with Ampex played its very significant role in the development. So please, if you're looking for very reliable, powerful, features-loaded machine in a good tape format, don't overlook this particular tape recorder. Yes, ATR-102 offers a little bit more capability, including going to 14-inch reels. This one goes only to about 12 inches. But that's more than enough for most people. So don't overlook this machine. Like I said, its prices today are quite low. I think I paid $300 for this machine in this beautiful condition, and additional $200 for shipping. You can't beat that type of bargain. Yes, the sound quality straight on through its own electronics leaves some to be desired, but that's true of pretty much every machine on the market. So don't be disappointed by that particular aspect. The spare parts for this machine are not very easy to find, but possible, and when you find them, their prices are typically quite reasonable, unlike the parts for ATR-102. There is also a good support structure for this machine. There is a page on the Facebook associated with this model, and there are quite a few people knowledgeable in it. And for example, this particular interesting piece, that's an adjustment tool for this machine. In order to properly set the tensions, tape tensions, you need this tool, which sets the rollers into mid-position, in the position in mid-course of their travel for the calibration. The drawing for this tool is available. You can make it out of different material. I chose aluminum, but you can use even cardboard or plastic. And yes, there is a group discussing this machine on the internet. You can get very good advice from them. And now, with all this out of the way, let's just listen to this wonderful music. And no, this is not Jimmy Smith. although the organ is the same Hammond organ. And the player is very, very good. All of them actually are quite good. So please enjoy and let me know if you have any additional questions. See you next time. Bye-bye. Thank you again for stopping by. I think it's a wonderful music on the tape, so I strongly recommend you try to obtain it. It's one of the references. I hope you liked the machine, and I just want to repeat that this is definitely a very, very secure purchase. As components are replaceable, you can easily fix most of the electronic assemblies, and when it's running, it is a wonderful machine.